I know I've been talking a lot this episode. We're just going to get Joel to say some reaction lines.
Wowzers.
Okay, and now just do like your input and like give a fake input into a part of it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I probably would have done the same thing. Although, on the other hand... And then just that's
yeah, cool, right, perfect.
Welcome back to Day Rates, the show we talk about design.
And money. Today we're talking about money.
Today's the money one. You want design? Get the fuck out of here.
We've done a few episodes, I think, on money, but this one's about specifically how to handle billing so you actually get paid the money.
Yes.
I feel like this one's going to become a lot more relevant because society is slowly collapsing.
Yep.
And when society slowly collapses, people stop paying their bills. People stop paying their bills. People stop paying their bills. People don't pay their bills. This is something that did start to happen to us a little bit during the old pandemic. People weirdly started, we've got an accounting pause on this or this and that. And it's like, guess what? We did the work. You owe us the money.
And these are like some big businesses too.
That's it. Bleep that.
These are some businesses.
Small kippers.
The people that sometimes would pay us on time, weren't paying us on time.
And it's not so much that like people aren't going to pay you now, but there's just people start to get a little weird. They start to push the boundaries with you, and it's made me think about billing in general, some of the mistakes that new freelancers make, and all the lessons we've learned from getting fucked on all these years. So right. So we've got some quick steppies. And then there's some final exceptions to the rules.
There's no tips today, just steps.
Steps, because we always do tips, but we're doing steps today.
Yeah.
So
we thought we'd step up and tip out.
That's what I'm saying. All right, mate. What do we have on the board? What's the first step?
First step, set the right fucking price. I'll say that again. That was rude.
A little explosive.
First step, set the right price.
That was very nice. That was very wholesome.
Yeah.
This is real. When I first started doing business myself, I set the wrong price.
Amen, brother.
And we were talking about this just before, but it's very easy to just work out your hourly rate and charge people that. Be like, this thing's a logo. It's going to take me 4 hours. I'm charging them 4 hours worth. That'll be $100, you know?
Yeah. And you just try to do it cheaper than anyone else would do it.
100%.
Which is wrong.
Definitely don't do that. Don't price yourself to the bottom. It's not good for you and it's not good for other designers.
Yep.
If you're a freelancer, you are running a business. Mm-hmm. And it's important to have some padding because you're not always working on client work. Realistically, most businesses are kind of operating on client work for about like 70% of the time.
Yep.
And then the rest of it is like admin, or you got to do all the other stuff that's required to just keep things going, or you got to market yourself, or you got to upgrade your equipment, or there's lots of reasons why you need some extra padding. Mm-hmm. So our rule of thumb is we work out what a project's going to cost us, all right? And we figure that out, and we fucking double it. Add more.
But for real, double it.
We double it.
Double it.
And that seems to work out. It's not like we're a business that has like ridiculous profit margins. We just have been able to survive for like 6 years now because when weird shit like COVID happens, we have a buffer to fall back on.
Wowzers. Wowzers.
That comes from actually trying to make profit on all your jobs. We were joking before that this is basically every The Future video ever.
Yes.
So, Chris, do my head again. Hey, I'm back. But that's the first one. Set the right price. This isn't necessarily dealing with the billing process, but if you consistently price your shit low, you're going to get in trouble over time. And also, it's going to really matter that people pay you right then and there because you have no buffer to survive off.
Yep.
So,
amen, brother.
Step one.
Because, I used to do that shit too when I was a freelancer.
Yeah. What was your process? Tell us the process.
The process was like, I can do it. $100. Cash is fine.
Formal quote. Clear payment terms.
100% none of that. I was like, even invoicing, I was on Invoice Machine, you know that website?
No.
Yeah, exactly. I was just like, I gotta get an APN right now? Like, the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
That whole thing. Anyway, I did it completely wrong. So these, because I honestly don't really know fully how we go about this process. So I'm learning too, Miles. Tell us more.
Me too. I have no idea.
Are there any more steps?
There's 3 more steps.
Step 2.
Step 2. Be clear on the terms. Designers are little wimpy poos and we don't want to ask for anything because we just want to do the drawings and like, thank you so much for the work. And we don't want to step on anyone's toes here. We're just really excited about the project. So if you can pay us at some point, that's great. But dude, I don't want to get in the way of anything.
If you think it's going to get us exposure, we don't need the money.
I mean, if you really think this exposure is going to be good, we'll do it.
We'll do it.
We'll do it.
Don't do it.
Yeah, I feel like I think this is a problem, like unclear payment terms and what's expected from the client is something that you struggle with a lot more when you're dealing with individual business owners. Like when you're dealing with people that have less budgets and you're at the start of your career, it's rampant. I had people that didn't pay me or they try to give you the runaround, all this kind of shit. That becomes less of an issue as you start to deal with more established companies. They expect that you're going to have some terms as to when you need to get paid.
Yeah,
they are set up to actually pay you. But when you're dealing with those, smaller businesses, it's really important that they are aware of what they're getting into when they start.
Yeah.
Which is basically, which kind of bleeds, I have to do step 2 and then also put one foot on this next step. Step 3, deposit invoice. It's really important that you get some money off people up front. And this can be kind of awkward when you're really starting out because people are like, oh, I don't know, they just don't want to front up cash for it. But if they're not ready to front up cash, it means that they're a troublemaker already.
Yeah, right.
So doing stuff like that, getting some payment up front, normally 50% of the job is probably a good way to start. And then also telling the client, it's not their property at the end of the job until they paid the final 50%.
Yeah,
or
right.
they're going to get a watermarked version until they pay the final 50%.
Which I always never did. I always just would send them the whole thing and then they'd be like, sweet, approved, send the full HD version. I'm like...
Recaption HD.
Yeah, rename the file. But going back to terms, actually, I don't know if anyone else out there is like this as well, but I remember we started putting like on our quotes like a bunch of fucking like the terms on there being like when to pay all this, blah, blah, blah. I never really knew about that sort of shit or like what is the legalities behind that. Can you just make your own rules and they'd have to abide by it? Yes,
that is the kind of the big reveal of law. It is like if you're really trying to do things properly, it's probably good to go talk to a solicitor and something. It's not that expensive and you can get a document made. Yep. There are services online too that help you make these documents.
Yep.
I looked up templates online. A lot of countries like Australia, they have, resources to help small businesses. So you can go and find templates for a lot of this stuff.
That's a good tip.
But a lot of the cases, our terms and conditions are... we require a deposit up front before we begin. Because we don't have signed contracts, because, if you're dealing with jobs all the time, no one deals with signed contracts really. It's especially if you're not dealing with anything over like $100,000, there's not as much of a need for signed contracts. So basically what our terms are, if you tell us in an email in writing, I'm ready to start this project, then you've committed to these terms on this quote.
Does that say that in our terms or is that just...
It does.
Okay.
It's in the terms and conditions. It's basically... our terms are basically like, we're going to do the work to your standard. The first deposit you have to pay before we begin. And the last deposit and the second payment is once you're happy with the job after the agreed amount of edits.
Yeah, okay.
So, we work with them on the structured edits at the end of the project. At the end of that third one,
pay us.
Pay us basically, yeah. And then at that point, the intellectual property becomes theirs. So that's in our terms as well. So, that basically means that if someone tries to pull the sneaky on you and start using the project, then you have a legal leg to stand on saying that's not actually their work yet.
Okay.
So they can't use it.
Yeah.
So that's probably quite important to put in there as well. But yeah, it's funny. You can get really intimidated by the jargon around here. I think as a freelancer, it's important to have something on your quote that just sets out the basics of what you expect. And it can be in simple terms. You don't need a lawyer to write something out.
Yeah, right.
In fact, most documents we deal with from clients and suppliers, it's pretty straightforward, and that's what people want.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like dealing with like massive budgets. Like if you're dealing with some Nike thing, get a lawyer, do a proper contract and everything. But for the kind of work we do, anything under $100,000, I don't think is
worth it.
It's not worth it.
Fair.
Yeah.
Also,
but rip me in the comments. Tell me if you're a lawyer.
Miles sucks.
Don't.
Also, okay, so when it becomes their intellectual property, like for us, then like if we wanted to use that in our reel, we'd have to get permission off them.
Yes, that's something that is like worth noting is every client project you do, it is theirs at the end of it.
Yeah.
So it's funny. There's like kind of if they've already put it out there and they've shouted you out, like because a lot of clients will be like, oh, thanks Chalk for doing this. It's kind of inferred that, your name's already attached to it. It's fine. But otherwise, if you're going to use work, just check with the client, make sure you're safe to use it.
Good little tip there.
Yeah, it is a good little tip. It's something that a lot of freelancers don't think about.
Yeah.
But same thing, if you're dealing with small businesses, I don't think it ever comes up. It's just once you start dealing with more corporate clients, you need to check your can I use this?
Yeah.
But most people aren't dickheads. Or they're dickheads, fuck it.
If anything, they just want it out there, I suppose.
They do, yeah. I think most businesses are kind of happy to have more exposure wherever it comes from. So yeah.
Dope.
But yeah, that's basic terms, is just so the client knows when they're going to have to pay you.
Well, that's got me thirsty for another step.
The third step, which we kind of talked about briefly there, is deposit invoice.
Boom.
Talked about this earlier. We do deposit invoices for kind of anything over $5,000. And the reality of it is small businesses, we make sure they pay it because they're a flight risk, and bigger corporates never pay it on time. I don't think I've ever had a deposit invoice paid. Most deposit invoices seem to get paid to us right at the end of the project. Like, that's how long it takes for big businesses to pay you.
Like both at the same time, or just the deposit?
Just the deposit. Then you wait another 30 days. There was a company who shall not be named, which we don't work with anymore, but they had payment terms of 90 days, which they didn't tell me until we'd finished the project.
Fucking hell, man.
So I was like, where's the money? Where's the money? And they're like, oh, we just have this 90-day thing. And they had another payment term that was it was 180 days. It was like twice that.
Wowzers. Wowzers.
You couldn't deal with them if you're a small freelancer because you're never going to see the money.
Dude, fuck. That's ridiculous.
And for us, we'd already spent money on that project. And I just had to wait.
What possible reason could they have to have that?
They're international. So for them, it's just it goes through the fucking pneumatic tube system.
Jesus Christ.
Dun, 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 and then it goes to a Rube Goldberg machine and fucking hits a series of dominoes, and then that eventually clicks payment. I don't know. It's bullshit. It just gets sent to someone and they could just click the button, but they won't.
Fuck, it's so ridiculous.
But I guess because for these bigger companies, they budget stuff out in advance.
Okay, yeah, right.
So maybe it's just literally the pool of money's not there until it's allocated for the next thing. So there is some flexibility. Main thing with the deposit invoices, most of you, the clients you'll be dealing with, I imagine it's important to get a deposit invoice off them.
Yeah.
If you've followed step 1, charge basically twice what your costs are. Benefit is it removes all the risk from your projects. If they're an absolute nightmare on the edits and they have 23 edits and for whatever reason your terms allow them to do that with you, or you don't want to pull them up on little edits, at least you've got your living expenses covered. And then you can just wait on that other invoice. There's a bit more flexibility if the project drags.
Yeah, right.
But if you don't charge a deposit invoice and a project goes from 1 week long to bloody 4 months and you're an individual, it can really fuck you up. So,
dude, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you, Daylords, but I'm learning a lot.
I'm forgetting a lot.
I'm actually learning a fucking lot because I didn't know any of this shit that we did.
The whole point of this series is to give Joel the tips and tricks he needs to quit.
Steal the clients.
Please take them. I fuck one. I'm done, man.
All right. I guess...
Fourth step, best step.
Step it up. Step 4.
Final invoice. End of project. It's over. What happens if your client doesn't pay? Joel, thoughts? Spitball.
Right. I mean, yeah. If they don't pay, you got to beat the shit out of them.
You gotta beat.
You take their legs first. Maybe cut off a finger or two. Find out where their family lives. Where do they go to school? Things like that. What do you do if they don't pay, Miles?
There's 2 kinds of not paying.
Right.
There are.
See?
There's people that are not paying you because they're literally trying to steal your work. They think, I paid the deposit, it's all over now, whatever, I'm going to run away. Some people do it. It's crazy. That kind is more difficult to deal with. Hopefully you did the right things. You maybe sent them a watermarked version towards the end. You didn't send the real thing. You've got in your terms that it's not their intellectual property. You've got some protection there. If you've done things right throughout the process, that's less of a stress. But you might still need to go and, go to small claims court, get a solicitor. There's other stuff you can do.
Which is a ball ache, but I mean...
It's a ball ache. We had one client that didn't pay us, started using it, and we didn't have a watermarked version. They just had the final video. We were going to go to small claims and do all this stuff, but at the end of the day, it was going to cost us the same amount as the invoice was going to come back at us. So we thought, well, fuck it, we're out. We just copped that one, basically. But because they paid the upfront...
Out there.
It is still out there, and it's a great video. Check it out here.
I don't even know what it is.
Other kind of not paying is corporate clients that drag their feet.
Okay.
Which is really common. You just don't find out about this until you're in business for a while, but it's like the 90 days payment term thing. People will just drag out these payments for whatever. Or it gets lost in their payroll team or their accounting team, and you just never see the money. You have to keep hassling people. This comes up very frequently in business, and most freelancers I know that have been around long enough have gone through this. And this is where you're in a messy zone. It's like, do you damage the relationship with the client and be really annoying and email them every day? Or do you wait around, and it might literally get lost in their system and you never see the money. So
Fuck.
it's like it's this no man's land of what to do and deal with it, and it requires a bit of strategy each time.
Has that ever happened with us where they just lost the money?
I don't think so, because my wife, weekly shout out Hannah, is always like, no, let's go get that money. And then she like grabs my hands and puts them on the keyboard and is like, I would like that money now,
here,
please.
lady.
And then we send photos of our son and
Yeah, right.
our cat son and you, Joel. We say, look at Joel here,
The real number one first son.
really struggling, and it's you with like crayons. Like,
I got some photoshopping to do.
yes, if it's a corporate client, you just gotta play it by ear. To be honest, for us, if it happens and we have more upcoming work with them, I can let things drift a little bit because we have the padding in the business. I think, you know what, they've got other work that we can still withhold if we need to. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna let this one drift for a little bit. But if there's no foreseeable work in the future, you just keep hounding them. I know, like, as a designer, most of us are kind of introverts and, not forceful people, I feel like. But if you did the work, that's your money. And they're going to act at some point like you're a frustration to them. Like, oh, I've already contacted the accounts team. They don't know, but they owe you the money at some point. If it's been like a month and they haven't paid you, it's well within your right to just basically keep annoying them. They will have an accounts team. So if you notice that was on one of the emails, you can try to contact the accounts team directly. And if it gets crazy, you can contact some other contacts that you have within the business, because basically it's kind of name and shame until they pay you that money.
Oh, God, it's such a fucking ball ache. Stress me out so much.
But I mean, you have to weigh it up. If it's a client that you want to work with again,
yeah, true. You
have to really tread lightly. They are fucking you over, but you got to take it with a smile and be like, thanks for not paying me. This was a great charity piece. But yeah, keep fighting until you get the money, especially if it's a corporate client, because they have it. It's right there.
And do you even want to work with these fucking people if they're paying pieces of shit? Fuck.
It's made me think about it.
Really?
I've thought about it before. I've like, this is good money from someone, but I'm just like, it's so hard to get it.
Yeah.
Like, am I just a fucking charity right now?
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, fuck that. You know what? Fuck that.
Fuck that.
Fuck that.
Fifth step, exceptions to the rule.
Exceptions to the rule. Totally fine.
Now, I could talk your ear off about this one,
I'd like you to. Just go ahead.
Although, I probably better give you a chance to talk.
Exceptions to the rule.
Tell us.
I think I already handled them all in the previous steps. Exceptions to the rule.
Exceptions to the rule.
We talked about it before. Deposit invoices. If they're a big company, they might not be able to pay it on time. Sometimes they're just strict on their payment dates. It's still better that you send it up front, because at least you'll get paid something during the project at some point. Mm-hmm. But we normally let it slide. If we know it's a big company and they're good for the money, we'll send the deposit invoice, realize we're not going to get that paid until we're halfway through the project, and just begin.
Yep.
That's fine. It's totally fine. Also, we don't deposit invoice for really small jobs. Depends where you're at in life. If your day rate, it really might sustain you for a week, and this person's a flight risk, still get half of it up front. Mm-hmm. But we don't bother for small jobs.
Yeah,
that's it. And that's it.
That's an episode of Day Rates.
Apart from that,
go out there, have fun.
Don't forget to deliver a design. Otherwise, they're not going to pay you. You have to do the work. Send emails. All right. How do we end most episodes? We do a
Family Fun
Design Corner.
Who's that for?
Families.
Yep.
Today we're looking at
Omar Aqil. A killer designer.
The tales we tweave.
Let's take a look.
Your boy does great abstract 3D, very colorful, pseudo character based, but it's so goddamn abstract. Look at this Picasso over here.
Dude, wow. Look at even that first one. It's like, that shit looks real as fuck, like a real balcony. And then it's got some like wacky character shit on it.
I love his wacky characters.
Cool.
This is like a style. It's very Peter Tarker-esque. These compositions where it's like lots of elements.
Yeah.
People just love modeling stuff, I feel like. They just want to model this stuff and they're like, how do I light it interestingly? Omar is doing it great. He's making these crazy ass characters and they look dope.
Sick.
Perfect.
There's also some cool furniture stuff here.
There's some great furniture stuff.
You like that?
And some ultra abstract, not even really object-based stuff where it's just nice shapes and colors. and all kinds of stuff. And then like shoes that pull apart and different things.
I do like these weird sculptures, eh? They're like super curvy and like El Natch.
I would never have the balls to do it. I always feel like I got to put like some real object in there. But people, when they do it, it looks fucking mint.
Yeah, it's like, it always gets me, I wonder how they get to that like end result.
Yeah, where do you get the balls?
Yeah, where do you get the balls?
Omar Aqil.
Killer in the sack. Oh, God.
Oh, my God.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Bleep it.
He's got a croc here. He's modelled a couple of crocs.
Fuck, he'll chop dogs and crocs.
Dude.
Don't judge by looks.
Flip packs.
Dude's a fucking ledge, all right? Check it out. It's top notch. Omar Aqil, you've been cornered. Doesn't work.
Doesn't work at all.
Let's go back to
Let's
it.
go back.
Omar Aqil, you've been cornered. Perfect.
We're getting so good at that.
We're nailing that.
Wait. We're going to say goodbye and stuff.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Bye.
Thanks for joining us again on Day Raids. Wowzers. Wowzers. Fuck you, Mom.
Yeah.
Wowzers.